Hey, hi, this is Joe from Prep Agent. I'm here with Sedina, ready to go over some stuff because your test is coming up soon. So, what questions you got? Let's do it.
For California, I wanted to know when you apply for your real estate license, after obtaining the license, do you need to apply for an application as well to practice?
So, first off, that's a question I actually never get, which is ironic because you're positive. You're saying, I'm going to pass. I need to know what I need to do
Mm-hmm.
after I
Mm-hmm.
pass, right? So, you're going to find a broker. So, after you pass your test, your license is not active.
Okay.
Okay, because your license is not active until you're under a broker. Because the broker is ultimately responsible for you. So you find a broker, which is a whole nother conversation, and the broker will submit it with you. He'll help you with that application, he or her
Mm-hmm.
will help you with that application and get it going. And then your license will be under that broker.
I see.
So your
Okay.
responsibility after your pass is find a broker, which is something theoretically you could start looking now as well if you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because remember, that broker is
Okay.
responsible for you.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Okay. Topography. I need a better understanding of what that is.
That's just the lay of the land. So where there's
The lay of the
mountains,
land.
yeah. So it's
Okay.
like the features of the land. So when you build a property, if you're building on a hill, are you building it near water? Are you building it on a flat surface?
Okay. All right. I'm
So
gonna
it
have to
has to do
remember
with
that. That's
yeah, it has to do with the distribution of the parts of features of the surface, right, on the land.
okay. Okay. The lay of the land. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I kind of get confused with legal title. I understand that, legal title is when you, I guess, become the legal owner. But as far as some of the examples of legal title, like as far as in some of the exam prep, I kept getting that one wrong. Maybe I need a better understanding of it.
Okay, so first of all, what's title?
Title is something that you gain after your deed is conveyed to you after you've paid all of the payments, right?
Right. Now remember this with one word. Title is ownership.
Okay.
That's what I want you to remember. It's just ownership. It's very simple. Okay?
Title. Okay. Title ownership.
There's lots of
Okay.
different ways you can take title, one of which is legal title. So you'll hear these
Mm-hmm.
terms legal title and equitable title. You ever heard that term equitable title before?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So what it is legal title is the right to sell. Equitable title is the right to use and possess.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you're in a state that uses a trust deed, like California, like Carolina, like some of these other states that use trust deeds, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You'll have that three-party relationship. Trustor, beneficiary, trustee.
Right.
Okay? Do you know
Mm-hmm.
that relationship?
I know that the buyer is the trustor. The title company or the person that's holding the title in lieu is the trustee,
Why?
and the beneficiary. You said why?
Yeah.
Because they're holding it until all of the terms of the contract and monies are paid.
What is
Or
it?
you said what is it?
Yes, you said they're holding it. What is it?
Oh, they're holding the title.
So what they're holding, and you're on the right track. You're doing great. Okay.
Okay.
So the trustor is
Mm-hmm.
giving that pledge, saying,
Mm-hmm.
"I pledge my property." Okay. The trustee receives that pledge. Okay. Men receive,
Mm-hmm.
EE receives, OR gives.
Right.
And by receiving that pledge, what they've received is what's called legal title, which circles back to your original question, which is that
Mm-hmm.
right to sell. The
Mm-hmm.
trustor in that scenario retains what is called equitable title,
Mm-hmm.
the right to use and possess.
Okay.
Okay? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
It
so
does.
equitable title is simply the right to watch TV, have friends over, and sleep in the house.
Like right now, I'm a homeowner and I'm still paying, my mortgage off. So right now, I have what's considered equitable title.
Exactly. It also
Okay.
gives you the right to benefit from the appreciation in your house.
Okay.
Okay?
So the equity, right?
Yes. When you
Okay.
pay off your property, okay, what the
Mhm.
bank is going to do, it doesn't have to be the bank, by the way. The beneficiary could be anybody. I could be the beneficiary. If I'm like some multi-millionaire, gabillionaire, I could lend you money.
Mhm.
Okay?
Right.
And like you said, the title company's trustee. Typically it
Mhm.
is, you're right. But you don't want to think too much in actual practice. You want to think legally what things are.
Okay.
Okay, so obviously in real terms, beneficiary is a bank, but it doesn't have to be. And obviously, typically, that trustee would probably be a title company of some sort, but it doesn't have to be.
Mhm. It
Okay,
doesn't have to be.
it's
Okay.
just in regular practice that's a service title companies do.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
so
So for the
now
beneficiary, maybe I should just think more terms of lender, right?
exactly perfect.
Okay.
Yes, they're the people
Okay.
lending the money. Okay, which
Okay.
could be me, your friend down the street, or the bank.
Mhm.
Right
Right.
now, when you pay them off, okay, what
Mhm.
happens?
When I pay them off, the
Right.
beneficiary or the trustee signs. No,
Ooh,
let's see.
no, no,
The
no.
beneficiary signs the reconveyance deed, right?
Close. What the beneficiary will sign is what's called a request for reconveyance.
Right. Okay.
And the
That's request.
trustee will receive that request, and you'll get a
Mhm.
reconveyance deed.
Mhm.
So you're really close. You definitely understand these concepts well. It's just a little, modification of what you're saying, but you're doing
Uh huh.
great. Okay?
Okay.
So the trustee will
Okay.
sign a reconveyance deed. And it's kind of funny. Have you ever seen one of these things before?
No.
So to get your loan, you got to sign like your whole life away in what seems like an endless
Oh
book,
yeah, I'm
right?
sorry. Yeah, I did
Yeah,
because when I did mine, yes, a lot of signing at the title
a lot of
company.
signing
Yes.
to get it. Right, to get the loan, you
Yes.
got to do all the signing. When you finish
Uh
paying
huh.
it, it looks like a piece of paper, like a participation certificate a kid gets from a youth soccer team. It's like this tiny. It's like for all that loan and all that time and all that signing, when it's all said and done, you get this little
Mhm.
piece of paper that has a little like "well
Wow.
done," and that's the reconveyance deed. It says it big on top, reconveyance deed. And that paper is
Okay.
important. You don't want to lose that paper when you pay off your loan because it's evidence
Mhm.
that you paid off the loan. Typically, you could
Right.
go to the bank and say, "Hey, I, paid this off. Can you show evidence?" But sometimes, if that
Mhm.
bank goes out of business, which has happened 5, 10 years ago, was happening all the time,
Mhm.
that bank may not be around. But if you have that reconveyance deed, you're good to go. It's
Okay.
it's your evidence that everything was paid off, and
Right.
it's your evidence, going back to your original question, that you regain legal title of your property.
Legal title. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so circling back
Okay.
to that concept, so at that point, you have equitable title and legal title.
Mhm. And then the document. What is the document called? Like once you go through the signing and all that, that's called a deed.
So a deed is your evidence of the transfer.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Okay, and there's different types
Okay.
of deeds, and they all mean different things. There's a whole army of deeds. Big one you want to know for your exam, no matter what state you're in, is a quitclaim deed.
Right. I understand that one.
Yeah, that's just immediate signing over.
Mhm.
Okay, and then you have a grant deed.
That's where I get confused at. What's the difference between the grant deed and the deed? Or is that just a type of
Well, the
deed,
deed,
like you
it's a
said?
type of deed. A deed's a more broader term.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's like ice cream. Then there's chocolate ice cream, vanilla ice cream, strawberry ice cream.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So quitclaim deed has no implied warranties, meaning anybody could have owned it. There could have been liens on it. There could have been problems with the ownership. All sorts of things. The grant
Mhm.
deed will say like, "Hey, nobody else owns this." All that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's what you use when you sell a property.
Right. Is what you usually sell the property. And when you buy a property, that's what you get too, right? Until the title is reconveyed to you. Is that correct? You get a grant deed?
Yeah, let me rephrase that. It's what's used when the property's transferred.
Transferred. Okay. Transferred. Okay. Grant deed. Okay.
Yeah.
I was getting confused with that.
Now,
Okay.
I'll elaborate. It's what user transferred in a typical sale. Because a quitclaim deed,
Mhm.
the property's transferred, it's just transferred from like family members or people you really trust, because you're also transferring the problems over when you use a quitclaim deed.
Okay. Okay. And basically that's giving up all of your rights to the property when you sign a quitclaim deed, right?
It's giving up your rights, also all your problems too.
Okay. All right. Okay, that brings me to my next question. What is actual authority and ostensible authority?
Okay, so now we're talking a little bit about agency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so actual authority is specific powers expressly conferred by the principal to have an agent act on your behalf. Like, it's very
Okay.
clear. So typically you have
Mm-hmm.
actual authority.
Okay, actual authority. Okay. And that's something that a principal can give to the agent or the broker. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Ostensible authority, they also call it apparent authority, is when a reasonable person would think that somebody's acting on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is that something like implied agency?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Principal contribution is just simply how much an item contributes to a property. Like if you have a pool, it's how much value does that pool contribute. That's appraisal theory.
Okay, it's appraisal. Okay,
Right,
gotcha.
it's just appraisal theory. The principal contribution says this pool adds 10 grand. It contributes to the value.
Okay, principal of substitution. Okay. And that's when you give the example, like if a house is $600,000 in one area, and you can go buy that same house in another area, same amenities and everything for $400,000. That's the principal of substitution, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. What is a constructive loan?
Okay, so a construction loan's an interim loan. It's what they call an interim loan, a short-term loan. It's meant for the time while the construction is being had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's usually lend a lot of money with the expectation it's going to transfer to a long-term loan called a takeout loan when that's completed.
Okay, takeout. Okay, I remember reading that. Okay, so the construction loan is like an interim loan. It's short-term, and then when the construction is completed, something is issued called a takeout loan.
Yeah, and that's a long-term loan.
Long-term loan. Okay, I got you. Okay. And then I had another one. Obligatory, I'm probably butchering that word, advances.
So obligatory advances have to do with when you get that construction loan, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You get the money in certain stages.
Okay.
So, for example, build the floor, you get 10 grand. Build the walls, you get another 10 grand, and so on down the line.
Okay. It's just what it says, advances.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like a lot of the stuff, it's like what's in a rum and coke? Rum and coke, you know?
Right. Okay. One other question that I had, as far as the exam goes, I know they give you a breakdown of the percentages of each area. Is this saying that you have to pass at least that percentage of that, or is it just giving you a makeup of what the test is, and you
it's just giving you a makeup
70% overall? Okay.
Of what the test is. Exactly.
Okay.
You don't get scored.
Gotcha.
It's not like the election where it's like an electoral college where you win like California, Florida, all this. No.
Okay.
Think of it like this way. Since we're in election season, you got to win the popular vote. If you want to,
Right. Okay.
it's a very timely example, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not like our screwy electoral system where it's like every state wins this and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. 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 Do you have anything that you think I should go over? Because that was pretty much it that I had as far as my questions go.
Well, let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Do you have a strategy tomorrow when you go into your exam?
Oh, yeah, I do have a strategy. I looked at some of the tips that you give. I'm going to do all of the easy questions first.
Okay.
If I come across something that I'm not sure, I'm going to write it down or write the number down. I'm hoping I can go back because I know it's on the computer now, right?
Uh-huh.
The exam is given on the computer. I'm going to make for sure I eat. And yeah, that's my strategy. I'm going to do all of the easy ones first and write down the ones that I think might,
And that's
take some
important.
time.
Make sure you organize it. A lot of people say, yeah, I get it. I'll do the easy ones first, then I'll leave the harder ones for later, da-da-da-da. But then they forget which ones are the harder ones or which ones are the easier ones. You want to
I was
be
going to write them down.
exactly, and that's what I want you to do. Because remember, you want to spend the most time with the ones you have the most chance of getting correct. These things aren't weighed differently.
Right.
So what I
Okay.
don't want you doing is struggling 20 minutes over one that you're probably not going to get correct anyway.
Right. No, I'm not going to do that. I learned that. No,
Right,
just to go,
because yeah, because remember, at the end of the test, if you're tired or you're drained and you're running out of time and you have to guess on that one, well, if it's one of those hard ones, wasn't going to be a guess anyway, so
yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
matter. And that's why I
Exactly.
don't want you to be in that situation with one that could have been easy for you. They had a good chance of getting right if you did in the beginning.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, that would be a
Yeah.
shame.
And I scheduled my exam for 1 too, because I didn't want the 8 o'clock because I didn't want the stress of dealing with the commute and all of the people, and so I said 1 o'clock would be good because it'll give me some time to kind of get there and unwind, and
That's
so
a
I thought
great
that
point. Yeah, so, and for people listening who do have the 8 o'clock exam, you just got to wake up early then. You schedule one, which is great, so you don't need to wake up too early. The last thing you want to be doing is freaking out about parking and
exactly,
in traffic.
exactly,
And I've heard stories of people running a million red lights to get there as they thought they were late and all this kind of stuff. You want to get there
right,
stupidly early and just sit there. And then, honestly, what I would do, go to the local Starbucks or whatever, get the comfortable chair. You know how the comfortable chair in Starbucks?
right.
Get some nice drink, if you like coffee or a tea or whatever, and just close your eyes and relax.
Maybe a shot of tequila.
Well, I don't think it's on the Starbucks menu yet. But
Well, I'm just playing.
yes, yeah, that'd be great. But yes, but you do get my point. Like, just you want to relax to the point where you're excited to go to the exam. Like, I'm ready for this. I'm tired of sitting here. I want to go.
Right, right.
You'd rather be in that spot than trying to racing in. So you go to Starbucks or Coffee Bean or Pete's Coffee, whatever floats your boat, and just sit there and relax. Even if there is no coffee shop nearby, personally, I would rather somebody just sit there, close their eyes, and relax in the car. Just sit in the car in the parking lot. Just take a moment. You want to take deep breaths. And what you're trying to do is calm your nerves. Just really calm your nerves. Take some deep breaths. Listen to some tranquil music. You don't want to get into the heavy motivational music because you're not playing a football game here. You want to be relaxed. So whatever you do, and this works for me. Everybody does what works for themselves. But it's really important to not have that jittery, nervous feeling like you're going for your first date or the first time you ever kiss somebody.
Right.
You don't want that feeling. You kind of want to just calm your nerves as much as possible and relax. Part of relaxing for me is always remembering this is not the end all.
Right.
You could take this test again. And I always tell people, they say, how many times can I take it? It's like, well, the state's more than happy to keep taking your money. They're fine with you keep taking it. So you got to remember you could take it again. And for me, that's not an anti-motivator. It helps me relax.
Right.
When people go in thinking, like, if I don't pass this, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? That just adds stress and you don't do better. When you go in saying, I've studied, I'm relaxed, I'm going to do the best. Obviously, I want to pass this. I want to move on with my life. But if I don't, it's not the end all. I'm going to keep plucking away.
Right, exactly.
And
what helped me too, even with studying, I would put on some smooth jazz on my laptop, and I would use earplugs and sit in the library and just go over the material for hours and, read and test and, and it really helped. So, yeah.
The reality for a lot of people is that this is, at minimum, a second chance. And very few people do this as their first job.
Right.
Their first career. So with that being said, it's also for most people a long time since they've taken an exam. Most people are not doing this right out of school.
Right.
So it can be stressful for a lot of people because they see it as this evaluation of how smart they are. And that's just not the case. This is not a test of your intelligence. It's your test of your
Right.
ability to basically memorize vocabulary words.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something that helped me learning the vocabulary. And I was glad when I found you on YouTube because it was like I was looking for something, to do a crash course. And I really like your course because it's not a day or two, but you can kind of take your time and pace yourself and just go over it and over, as much as you want. And that's really helped me. So I think I'm confident that I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I think you'll do great. And people just need to relax. First of all, prepare like you have been doing. You prepare, that makes you relax the most. Go in, listen to the music you like. Know you can take it again, and above all, stop telling all your friends and family you're going to take your test.
Oh, I haven't told anybody. You're the only one that knows.
Well, you and the rest of YouTube
I haven't told
land.
anybody. Well, now, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Joe, two other quick questions. Implied agency, is that legal in California?
Yes.
It is.
It depends on the way it's done.
Okay. All right. And then the Sherman Antitrust Act.
Sherman Antitrust Act is important, and it's violated all the time in real life. For example, how much does a real estate agent charge in commission when they list a house?
Say that again.
You asked me to list your house. How much do I charge?
It's negotiable, right?
Right. But when you talk to agents, they'll always say between 5 and 6%.
Oh, and that's illegal, huh?
Well, that's not illegal. What is illegal is when they follow up and say, everybody does that, that's standard.
Oh, okay.
That's when it becomes illegal. Or when you see an agent list it for 3%, something really small, or 2%. And all the other agents in the neighborhood say, screw that guy, let's not show his house. He's listing it for 2%. If everybody starts listing out 2%, none of us will make money anymore. That's a violation of the Sherman Antitrust Act. Basically, the Sherman Antitrust Act is there to promote free market competition.
Okay. Promote free market competition. Okay.
Yeah, like you can't do monopolies. We can't go to each other and say, you're in that brokerage, I'm in this brokerage. I'll take west of the river, you take east of the river. You don't come to my neighborhood ever. I don't go into your neighborhood ever.
Right.
Because then you're violating the Sherman Antitrust Act if you do that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's about all I had.
All right. Well, if you need anything else, send me an email.
I will. Thank you, Joe, and I'll definitely let you know how I did.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me record this so everybody could hear. You're going to be a celebrity.
All right.
Okay. Good luck.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.